Hey folks, Lachlan here, a South African living with quadriplegic cerebral palsy. Of all the political movements in the world, the leaders of the African National Congress and their supporters may be the single most stupid in existence. I say this not because of the ANC's multiple failures to govern South Africa correctly or with any kind of competence whatsoever, because that is now self evident. No, I say this because of the ANC's international policy. The African National Congress has a documented history of rejecting the West and trying to align itself with every dictator and autocrat on the planet. They publicly deny this, while doing so obviously every week. Right now, in fact, I'm not sure whether it's still going on, but right now in South African waters, there are war games being held between South Africa, Russia, China, and Iran, hosted by China in our waters. And this, in particular, is a clear example of a show of defiance to the West and to the administration of Donald Trump in particular. Now, this isn't anything new. Fundamentally, the African National Congress is a communist movement, and the only reason it was able to gain enough power to overthrow apartheid was that it received support from the old Soviet Union. No, that's not a conspiracy theory. It's documented fact, and you don't need to believe me. You can look that up for yourself. But the reason I say that their international policy in 2026 is so stupid is that while the ANC seemed determined to drag South Africa into some kind of conflict with Trump and the United States, none of their so called BRICS allies seem nearly as eager to get into that fight. And let's just imagine for a moment a hypothetical scenario in which somehow the BRICS alliance is able to overthrow America and become the world's dominant superpower. In that outcome, what do you think happens to South Africa? We have no standing military, or at least not one to be taken seriously by any measure. Not anymore, not since the 90s. So, what do you think happens to South Africa, which is one of the most mineral rich places on the planet? Well, if the BRICS nations win this hypothetical war, the only reward for South Africa would be to become a slave colony. Because remember, nations like China, Russia, and Iran aren't too concerned with this newfangled notion of human rights, and they are quite comfortable with things like torture, slavery, and mass murder. So, even if the ANC were to get what they want, that would still mean a living hell for the average South African, even worse than it is now. And that's pretty much all I've got to say on the subject for today. As always, I hope that you find something of value in my content. Look after yourselves, be kind to one another, and for now, farewell.